私も行くね。あ、ダメだ、我慢できない。
見つかったら殺される。
タンポポ茶飲みすぎ。
Welcome to prison school, where the only thing harder than the concrete walls is surviving the hilarious and absurd trials of its inmates. In this anime, you'll witness the misadventures of a group of boys as they struggle to escape the clutches of their all-female captors and avoid becoming the butt of their jokes, both literally and figuratively. Get ready for a wild ride through the world of prison school, where the punishment doesn't fit the crime, but the laughs are always worth it. The private co-educational Hachimitsu Academy, renowned for its academic excellence, is a strict all-girls boarding school located in Tokyo. Recently, the school underwent a dramatic reform after the appointment of a new chairman on the school board. As part of this reform, male students were introduced into the cohort, making a significant shift in the school's history. At the beginning of the school year, only 5 first-year boys were admitted, and they were outnumbered by a staggering ratio of 1 to 200. Understandably, this left them feeling intimidated and uncertain about their place in the school. Their lack of confidence manifested in their reluctance to approach girls, resulting in their general disfavor among the student body. Despite his reservations, Kiyoshi made a valiant attempt to approach 2 girls in the school cafeteria. However, to the dismay of the other boys, he failed to say a single word and ultimately lost his chance when another girl took them outside. It was only after speaking with an older schoolgirl that Kiyoshi and his fellow male students learned the shocking truth. All the schoolgirls were secretly forbidden to talk to them by order of the elusive underground student council. As the school year begins, the first 5-year boys are distributed to different classes. Consequently, Kiyoshi finds himself in a class all by himself. Initially, he feels isolated and out of place, but little does he know that fate has a different plan for him. One day, as Kiyoshi clumsily drops his sumo wrestling rubber, his heart sinks as he realizes that the cutest girl in his class, Chiyo, witnesses the embarrassing incident. He feels mortified as their eyes meet briefly, but to his surprise, she doesn't mock him. Instead, he discovers that she is a fan of sumo wrestling too, and they start a conversation after school while waiting for the boys outside the school building. Later that evening, Kiyoshi returns to the boys' dorm room, only to hear that the boys are planning to spy on the girls in the bath. He is shocked and disturbed by their intentions. In the hallway, he overhears the boys talking about spying on his class, which makes him anxious and worried, especially because he fears that they might see Chiyo naked. The boys are feeling adventurous and come up with a daring plan to spy on the roof using an iPhone attached to a rope that they lowered through the skylight. Initially, Kiyoshi has some doubts about the plan, but his confidence is restored when he sees Chiyo outside of the bathroom. However, just as he drops the rope from shock, he is told that they are using his iPhone, sending him into a panic. With no other choice, he reluctantly heads to the bathroom to retrieve it. But little does he know, Chiyo is there and mistakes him for her friend Mayumi, who she cannot recognize without her contact lenses. Despite his efforts to conceal his identity, Chiyo drags him to the bathroom, putting him in a very precarious situation. Meanwhile, the other boys decide to join him on the roof, but they soon find themselves under attack by a swarm of crows. The situation goes from bad to worse when the underground student council shows up and arrests the boys, making sure to announce their capture to the girls in the bathroom. Luckily, Kiyoshi manages to evade their clutches and hide just in time during the ensuing chaos. In the playground, as the boys are being lynched and bombarded with questions about Kiyoshi's whereabouts, Kiyoshi himself is taken aback by the sudden appearance of a friendly girl with a USC guidebook. The girl takes it upon herself to introduce each of the USC members, revealing herself to be the president of the club, much to Kiyoshi's surprise. Dragged in front of the crowd, Kiyoshi is moved to tears at the sight of Chiyo among the onlookers. In the following days, the boys received their sentence of 1 month in the school's prison block. Despite their initial reluctance, they come to accept their punishment, knowing that their parents cannot find out about their voyeuristic behavior. Ordered to do manual labor, the boys endure brutal beatings in the process. Later on, in the comfort of his own room, Kiyoshi is visited by the chairman, who has a surprising request for Mari, Kiyoshi's nemesis. Despite Mari's objections to the boys' unruly and perverted behavior, the chairman orders her to allow the boys to have free time during the weekend. He even intends to let them stay in the school despite Mari's persistent objections. To everyone's surprise, it is revealed that the chairman is, in fact, Mari's father. 3 days later, as Kiyoshi is going about his prison labor and extricating garbage, something shocking is revealed. He had dug a hole in the waste disposal cabin's wall. Despite this unexpected turn of events, Kiyoshi remains focused on his work and is surprised to spot Chiyo at a nearby window. With a simple gesture, he confirms their afternoon rendezvous in front of the sumo gym. However, Kiyoshi's attention is soon diverted by the sight of Gakuto being punished for forgetting the garbage, even though it was actually Kiyoshi's fault. Later, at dinner, Kiyoshi can't help but notice the strange attitude of Gakuto. His curiosity is piqued even further when Gakuto shows him a piece of paper that Chiyo had used to communicate with Kiyoshi through the window. Needless to say, Kiyoshi is feeling pretty nervous at this point. The situation only worsens when Kiyoshi is in the shower, ruminating on the possibility of Gakuto informing the USC of their secret plan. Suddenly, Gakuto appears behind him and proposes to wash his back using a sumo term. What a surprise! Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. Who is the most down bad anime character and why? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out, and now, back to the recap. The following day, Kiyoshi is in shock when Gakuto imitates a sumo's gesture. Despite the mounting tension, Kiyoshi tries to remain calm and focused, even as he covers the hole in the wall with a plank. But just when he thinks he's in the clear, Hana shows up and confronts him about a rumor that he had supposedly spread about her. When Kiyoshi denies the allegation, Hana demands retribution and forces him to pee in front of her, even threatening to kill him if he refuses. Just as things are getting really tense, Gakuto shows up and interrupts the bizarre scene, forcing Hana to leave in a huff. To Kiyoshi's panic, Gakuto suddenly approaches the hidden hole and insists on helping him escape. Little does Gakuto know that he is about to be stabbed by a fork. Despite this, Gakuto tries to explain his gestures to Kiyoshi, telling him that their planned rendezvous with Chiyo is also a special day for him. As evening approaches, things heat up in the USC's shower room. Meiko makes references to sumo bathing while proposing to wash Mari's back. However, Mari misunderstands and thinks that Meiko is commenting on her body size. She apologizes for having Meiko guard the boys, and Meiko responds by suggesting they work during the weekend. Mari insists that only model prisoners should work and that the boys do not qualify as such, hence should not have leave. She also confesses that she is uneasy about the impending release of the male voyeurs in 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the chairman is back in his office and realizes that Mari canceled the prisoner's free time because she saw the pornography on his computer. He decides to take the educational file home with him. The vice president's infrequent visits to the waste disposal area prompt Gakuto and Kiyoshi to seize their opportunity for a practice run at the escape hole they've made. During lunchtime, Gakuto instructs Kiyoshi to test his escape route and stay out for at least an hour. However, their plans are disrupted by the chairman's unexpected appearance, who decides to bury his coveted collection of South American ass near Kiyoshi's location. To Kiyoshi's dismay, the chairman blocks his path back to the escape hole. Meanwhile, Meiko interrogates Gakuto about Kiyoshi's whereabouts, and although he hesitates at first, he eventually reveals Kiyoshi's absence. Meiko's suspicions are aroused when Kiyoshi fails to appear, and she sets out to investigate. However, Kiyoshi makes a last-minute dash back to the escape hole, only to find that he cannot slip through the tight gap. In a stroke of luck, Gakuto triggers the collapse of the trash heap under Meiko, causing her to fall. Kiyoshi helps her up, and she departs after striking Gakuto, unaware of the escape hole. Gakuto expresses his exasperation, but also reveals his secret escape plan. As Kiyoshi comments on the escape hole's small size, an eavesdropping Shingo regards them with suspicion. As Kiyoshi and Gakuto discuss their escape plan in the prison block mess hall, they are suddenly interrupted by Shingo's excited interruption. He announces that they are one step closer to breaking out of their confinement. Just as the boys were getting back into their conversation, they are greeted by the arrival of Meiko in her night uniform, causing Gakuto to become overly excited and suffer a hit as a result. The next day, at the waste disposal area, Gakuto and Kiyoshi huddle together to devise a plan to deal with the Shingo problem. As they discuss their strategy, little do they know that nearby, Shingo secretly yearns to speak with Kiyoshi more. However, he accidentally overhears their conversation and jumps to the wrong conclusion. The following day, just before the prison labor slot begins, Shingo approaches the vice president with a request to handle other tasks, which is swiftly approved. As the work gets underway, Gakuto suddenly hears the disembodied voice of Kiyoshi and discovers him trapped inside a drainage channel, a potential escape route from the luggage duty post. After successfully navigating the drainage channel to return to the restroom, Gakuto eavesdrops on a conversation between Shingo, Andre, and Joe in which they discuss his physical relationship with Kiyoshi, along with their interpretation of a recent shower scene. As the discussion continues, Meiko arrives on the scene and promptly chases the boys away, before launching into a series of squats right above Kiyoshi's hiding spot. His attention is undeniably distracted by her movements for a significant amount of time until he finally decides to make his escape. However, just as he begins inching away, Meiko slips and her high heel inadvertently stabs Kiyoshi's butt. At the end of the day, Meiko confronts Kiyoshi asking why he spent so much time in the restroom during his shift. Kiyoshi offers the excuse of having a delicate stomach, but is unexpectedly contradicted by Shingo, who reveals that Kiyoshi is actually suffering from hemorrhoids, presenting a large bloodstain on his rear as proof. In the prison block, Meiko delivers all the items the boys have requested and informs that they will be joining the girls in the computer lab the following day, as there are no computers available in the prison block for their IT lessons. Meanwhile, the chairman decides to permanently seal his photos with cement and fill the hole with the rest of the cement from his wheelbarrow. Kiyoshi checks the escape hole, but he discovers that it has been blocked. During the next day, Gakuto regularly makes brash mistakes and pokes his own head in Meiko's shirt and her skirt when she disciplines him. After suffering a punishment, Gakuto tells Kiyoshi it is not enough yet to make Kiyoshi's plan work. Seeing the USC president talking with Meiko, he runs to them while begging forgiveness and avoids Meiko's strike by making an acrobatic jump before finally sliding below Mari. As everyone looks at the scene with absolute horror, he grabs Mari's skirt from below and it falls to the ground as he slid. How will our boys survive this prison school? Find out on our next recap of Prison School.